In this video, we will discuss about the vectors in mathematics. Vector is the term which is used in mathematics, engineering, and most importantly physics. A vector is a quantity that has both magnitude and direction. Some of the examples of vectors include various quantities, such as the displacement, velocity, force, acceleration, and many more. The best example is when we are searching for a location through Google Maps using GPS. It will give us the distance of the journey along with the direction of the journey. Every second, it will calculate the best possible route and direction by using a lot of vectors than we can imagine. And also, video games like Angry Birds were built based on the concept of vectors. In the game, the speed of the bird is determined based on how far we pull back the bird. Here, speed is a scalar quantity. And the direction we are pointing to release the bird determines the location of the bird where it will hit. Velocity, which is the combination of speed and direction, determines the specific location that the birds will hit. The velocity is a vector quantity, so the game has a lot to do with vectors. Graphically, vectors are represented with directed line segments. The length of the vector is chosen according to some scale. The length represents the magnitude of the vector. And the direction of the line segment represents the direction of the vector. Let us consider a vector drawn from point A to point B. Here, point A is called the origin, or base, or initial point. The point B is called the head, or tip, or endpoint. The distance between the two points is the magnitude of the vector. The direction of displacement, from A to B, refers to the direction of vector. Vectors in an n-dimensional space can be represented as coordinate vectors in a Cartesian coordinate system. For example, in a two-dimensional space, a vector from the origin, O, to the point, A, is simply represented as OA bar. It can also be denoted with small case letter A bar. In a three-dimensional space, a vector A is represented with triplets of scalar components. When dealing with matrices, these vectors are also represented as column vectors or row vectors. Another way to represent vectors is to introduce the standard basis vectors. In a three-dimensional space, there are three standard basis vectors: I, along x-axis, j, along y-axis, and k, along z-axis. These vectors have unit length along x, y, and z-axis, respectively. So, these are also called unit vectors. The vector A can be represented as the sum of products of scalar components, A1, A2 and A3, with the unit vectors along x, y, and z-axis respectively. The length of the vector A is denoted as. It can be computed using the norm of a vector. In this video, we have discussed about the vectors in mathematics.